Hello and welcome to On the Corner, the official podcast, pitchlist.com. I'm your host, Eric Samulski, joined, as always, by the man who's chugging some coffee, so I'm going to keep just talking.
Water.
Oh, that was water. He's got two mugs. He's got some coffee. He's got some water. It's just confusing. What's in what mug? It's Nick Pollack.
Hey, what's happening? I have my 20 ounce for water. That's my McClanahan. And I've got my Super Brash Brothers for coffee.
Nice. I've got fancy water today. It is Spindrift, the lemon flavor.
You know what isn't fancy? What Walker Buehler's been doing in Tanner Houck. I mean, the Red Sox are not looking like the studly pitchers that we wanted them to be, Eric.
That's true. But you know what? They traded a not studly pitcher for a top prospect and a first round pick and money. So I'm okay with that. We're going to talk about all that later. But yes, I gave Walker Buehler the Cardinals start because I was like, I don't love the Cardinals offense. I'm going to see. And I saw. And he's off my rosters. So we're going to talk about that. Actually, we're not going to talk about that today because he's not on the list.
He's on the list. You know, this is the whole thing, guys. As I put Walker Buehler in the top 60, and I guarantee you I'm going to get a comment from somebody like, how could you possibly do this after you ranked him in the top 60 at the beginning of the year? I'm like, why are you so surprised? I put him in the top 60 because I knew that I'd be able to make a quick decision to drop him if it didn't go well. That's the whole point. That's why I favored that over someone that it might take longer, which are some of the other guys that are on the list. So Walker Buehler just looking lost. Velocity's not there.
Yep.
It could come back. I don't want to hold on to it. I'd rather go after other things at the moment.
Sure. Again, 12-team focused here. If you want to hold him in your 15s, I didn't, but again, depends all on your landscape and whatever you need. We have the list today. We're going through the top 100. We got some changes, still a lot at the top. It's still early. We're going to tell you guys not to panic on some of these established aces. Because we are doing this properly this time, we've got a theme.
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
The theme is beginnings.
Beginnings.
I'm going to keep it a little vague for you. We could go first movie of a trilogy, opening of a book, a true beginning from real life, right? Something that's the start of something, the opening, the beginning of something.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay? We'll let your brain go in any way you want.
Man.
We're going to start with tier number 1. There are no changes again, people. So this is going to be quick. It is number 1, Tarek Skubal. Number 2, Garrett Crochet. Number 3, Paul Skeens. Number 4, Zach Wheeler. Number 5, Jacob deGrom. Number 6, Cole Reagans. Number 7, Logan Gilbert. What's this tier called, and why is it called that?
Having the 1-1 pick in fantasy baseball. I mean, yeah, you just got the best one. Okay, so there you go. I mean, I could do 20 million things. I can get very symbolic and stuff, but I'm just going to make it straightforward. Like, these are aces because you were able to choose the first one. Ta-da.
Yes. And they're aces, and don't freak out. Even though some of them haven't had great starts, just don't freak. Tier number 2. Number 8, Max Fried. Number 9, Tyler Glasnow. Number 10, Dylan Cease. Number 11, Michael King. Number 12, Joe Ryan. Number 13, Chris Sale. Number 14, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
I'm going to go with the beginning of a meal that you're just so hungry for. It's like the first bite of like the best burger you've ever had. It's
that's
just exactly. It's just
my death row meal, Nick.
You know,
my death row meal is just a good medium rare cheeseburger.
Absolutely.
And some well toasted fries.
Yeah.
I need a crunch.
Yeah, hey, make them crunchy. Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's no movement here. If you're reading along in the article, the list came out today, Monday afternoon. You'll see some +1 or +2. This is because Blake Snell is now on the IL, and also a pitcher dropped into tier 3, who we'll get to later. But none of these guys jumped for any particular reason. Do you feel like you need to want to say anything about these, or should we move on to tier 3?
Tyler Glasnow was pitching in the rain with the Phillies, so don't be worried too much about that. I can see myself lowering Joe Ryan if he continues to not have any secondary development. But as of right now, it's just, okay, we're getting into the season. We'll see how this goes. And keep in mind that he still did really well with those 4-seamers. Yeah, he allowed 2 home runs. Okay, fine. But I still think that like Joe Ryan is not nearly the guy that he's supposed to be and will be in, say, May or June. So I'm keeping him where he is right now. And for most of these, I mean, yeah, if their ace is going to ace, there's only one guy who actually has already lost it. And I think everyone will agree that he's lost it. So it's not enough to lower Joe Ryan yet.
Yeah, I'm bummed. My draft strategy had obviously me waiting on starting pitching, and there were a couple leagues where I quickly went Joe Ryan, Justin Steele as my 1-2. And it hasn't been a great start. I'm not freaking out yet, but I'm not filled with the warm and fuzzies.
Sure.
We'll just put it that way. Tier number 3 starts with number 15, Spencer Schwellenbach. Number 16, Hunter Green. Number 17, Corbin Burns. Number 18, Tanner Bybee. Number 19, Shota Imanaga. Number 20, Logan Webb. Number 21, Pablo Lopez. Number 22, Justin Steele. Number 23, Robbie Ray. Number 24, Framber Valdez. Number 25, Sandy Alcantara. Congratulations to Sandy Alcantara. Just went on the paternity list. Kudos to you, Sandy. What's the tier called? Why is it called that?
This is that feeling of when you start listening to an album you're really excited about, and it's from your favorite band, and you've heard good reviews and stuff. It does not mean that this is your favorite album, though. You expect to enjoy it. You expect it's going to be really good. It already is at a level of like, yeah, this is my favorite band and stuff. But it could be your favorite album. You don't know yet. But they're not quite at that ace level yet.
Sure. Or it could be the one that you're like, yeah, that one was a little bit of a miss.
Yeah.
And we got a big drop here from Corbin Burns.
Yes, we did. Which we don't find on his cutter anymore.
Boom, boom, boom. And listen, and I will just say, like, and then he discovered the cutter last September and had a big run of, a strong stretch of performance. We could see that in May where he figures it out. It's so hard to tell, but I get why we're dropping him right now.
Yeah, it's a simple case with Corbin Burns where I expected him to feature that cutter that we saw at the end of the fall. We saw even that return for a moment in the spring, but we just haven't. And we see a guy who's very much off of his game. And I'm saying, look, it might be hypocritical to say I'm okay with all these other guys kind of being not themselves and expecting to be better. But with Corbin Burns, we've actually seen a pattern now of him not having that pitch. And I'm not saying that he should be out for teams or anything. He's still 17. I think he's still going to be very good for you. But the idea that he has the same impact as someone like a Tyler Glasnow or so, I just don't see that. I don't think that Corbin Burns goes out there every single day and says, yes, I'm going to be a stud. We're not at that. I mean, he's right there with Tanner Bybee and Shota Imanaga, and that seems right to me. Like, those guys we expect to do well every night, but it's not this ace level of performance that he used to have.
Yep, I fully agree. Any concerns? I mean, listen, we got James Shiano and I do our Q&A at noon every Monday over on the Roto World YouTube channel. You should check that out. I tweet out the link every Monday morning and afternoon. We got a question about whether somebody should panic drop Justin Steele. Like, just don't do these things this early in the season, people. I don't care if it's an 8-team league. You're not dropping Justin Steele. Like,
no.
These are guys you drafted. I know it's unfortunate. Hold on to them. That Steele start in particular in Sacramento, which seems like it's going to be playing a little offensive friendly. He made a few bad pitches on I think they were sliders, if I remember correctly, that got hit out of the yard. And so it's like, is he a pristine version of Justin Steele right now? No, but is he 80% of the way there? It looked like it from watching that start. So don't freak out.
Yeah, with Justin Steele last year, we saw him go on the IL with a hamstring injury. And then he returned. He needed actually a couple starts to get into his rhythm, but then he went off for 4 straight months. And it's like that with a lot of guys. We actually are really fortunate right now with Max Fried that his second start was actually good. And we normally don't even see that. We used to say this about Luis Castilla before. April performance is the least sticky month of any month in the season. That is, it correlates least with their end of season numbers. So keep that in mind. And yes, there are certain guys that I am applying it to because it does feel like it is something that is just really hard for them to change. But then you see something like Hunter Green throwing 99 plus all of a sudden and throwing sliders for strikes, which we saw in the spring as well, carried over. I mean, that looks so legit. Spencer Schwellenbach just destroyed the Marlins, but not by throwing cutters, by throwing 4-seamers instead, which was his weakness entering the year. I'm really excited about that. Both of those guys, I will give ace is going to ace if they do it for another 2 starts. And that's just something new and exciting for them. But yeah, with everyone else in this tier, I mean, Robbie Ray honestly survived despite his changeup not being there, despite his curve and slider actually abandoning him just throwing four seamers and actually doing okay, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I like to see, where you're not your best now. We're not really expecting you to be at the peak yet, and just survive and be helpful in that time. I dig that because we know it's going to be different in a month or so.
Yeah. Sandy Alcantara, who got rained out yesterday, goes from starting against the Braves to potentially starting today against the Mets to likely starting this weekend against the Nationals, which is a pretty good turn if you have Sandy Alcantara on your team. The Nationals are not a start you want to avoid. If you are in like a weekly lineup lock league, you're probably already made your decision because you might listen to this Monday night. But paternity list is only a 3-day thing.
Mm-hmm.
He has to come off the list this weekend. So it is.
He'll be here on Friday, likely against the Nationals, Sandy Alcantara, because they have an off day on Thursday. And I think actually it's kind of a blessing in disguise. I mean, it's already a blessing because he has a child, but he needs the extra rest. That was the thing he talked about last start, where he was at 96 or so as opposed to 98 because he wasn't recovering as quickly as he expected, which is always like, that's what we heard about Garrett Cole. But that extra rest might actually be what he needs as he's still, of course, coming back from Tommy John.
Yes. Just Logan Webb, who is in this tier, also just addressing something in the comments. Logan Webb has a 24.4% strikeout rate this year. He has a career strikeout rate over 22%. Jack Kahanowitz has a strikeout rate of 19% in the minor leagues. He has a 10.7% strikeout rate in the major leagues. So even though Jack Kahanowitz and Logan Webb both don't strike out a lot of people, it is not the same. You also have Logan Webb on the Giants, better chance of wins, and also a track record. If Jack Kahanowitz is able to spit out quality starts for 3 years in a row with a low whip, people are going to start ranking him higher because he's showed it for a longer period of time. He has like 10 career starts on one of the worst teams in baseball. So it's going to take a little bit more, to get value out of him because
the Jack one trade is actually
a lot of people out. You're looking for wins, and he's not going to get wins on the Angels. So it is tough.
We'll talk about the Jack one trade later, but he's actually not the Jack one trade anymore.
Yeah. And look, no, that's also no knock on Kahanowitz.
Oh yeah.
Fan of what he does, but what he does is limited. Tier number 4 starts with number 26, Brian Wu. Number 27, Bryce Miller. Number 28, Ryan Pepio. Number 29, Freddie Peralta. Number 30, Jack Flaherty. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
It is called the What Is Happening tier because that's how I begin every single podcast. And let's be honest, we don't know if it's going to be good or not. Okay. We think it should be a good podcast. You think you're going to be entertained. But some days I don't got it. Okay. Some days I'm saying the wrong stuff and everything. And some days you're going to be sitting there going, what is happening? Freddie Peralta. So I feel good about these guys for the most part. I put Brian Wu above Bryce Miller here because he's healthy. And I think generally healthy Brian Wu is better than Bryce Miller. As also Bryce Miller has had 2 weird outings. Not really feeling like the main 4-seamer focused guy that we've seen before and dominating with that. And then hopefully having the secondaries. And Brian Wu actually in his last start was 96.4 on the fastball and he averaged 94.9. Last year it was 95 in first outing. So maybe there is actually a bump in velocity that we will see for moving forward from him. That's exciting. But yeah, this is Ryan Pepio. You're so close. I hope you're going to get there. And Jack Flaherty is actually kind of looking like the guy that we want him to be. So I have this little tier of, hey, I think we're good here. These are my cherry bombs, but there might be something that disrupts us along the way.
Yeah. Not much to say on these guys. Listen, it's early, so you're not going to get the park effects that I think pushed Pepio down. And a lot of people got concerned about pitching outside in Florida in the summer. We'll see what happens in the summer. It's not that now, but yeah, so far so good over there. We move on to tier number 5. Starts at number 31, Luis Castillo. Number 32, Aaron Nola. Number 33, Carlos Rodon. Number 34, Kodai Senga. Number 35, Drew Rasmussen. Number 36, Christopher Sanchez. 37, Sonny Gray. 38, Hunter Brown. 39, Zach Gallen. And number 40, Bailey Ober. What's this tier called, and why is it called that?
Oh, man. This I'm going to call this one the Fellowship of the Ring, because it's just always there for you, and it's long, and it's volume, and you get the whole trilogy for you, and you're going to enjoy it. You're going to like it. And sure, there are going to be parts of it they're just like, oh, it's that part, all right. I don't really want to sit through this for like 15 minutes. Let's be honest, the whole Rivendell stuff is just, it takes so long. All right. But you're going to like this, and you're going to see it for a long time.
Yeah. We've got some I don't want to say aging veterans in here, but it's led off by Castillo, Nola, Rodon, guys who have seen better days. Do you have any concerns about these guys? They're off to some slow starts. Do you think this is kind of like where they are and who they are? Could you see a drop from any one of those three? I got to say, we're recording this right now, and I want to bang my head against the wall every time I watch Carlos Rodon pitch. I don't understand it. That first start, you're like, oh my God, this one seam sinker is awesome. And he's like, it is, right? I'm going to throw it just 4 times in the next outing. I'm not going to throw it at all. Who needs it? Why are we going to do that? And just like, now he's getting lit up by the Tigers today. I just don't, at least he's throwing the changeup still, which is what we wanted. But I don't know, man. I just, it seems like he needs to get punched in the mouth before he figures out how to adapt to it. And it's just so tough when you have him in fantasy.
So I just want to be very clear here. Rodon right now, as I'm watching, is at 96 pitches. And it looks like they're challenging a play at second base that he might, it might be essentially 6 full. If it is 6 full, then Rodon went 8 strikeouts with a 1 whip in 4 runs, with that being a 3-run shot and a terrible changeup that went down and into a righty, and he's hooked it down the line. So I'm not going to be grading Rodon unfavorably in this.
No,
I don't think you make a good point about the stinker being like, come on, man, like that, we know that thing's good. Throw that thing, that's good.
But also what needed to happen, he gave up,
right?
He gave up that home run at the beginning of the game.
Well, I felt that if Rodon were, and also, by the way, it's like flurrying in Detroit as well. But if I really felt that like Rodon was just going to be so consistent and sturdy the entire year, then I probably would have him in that ace potential tier with the likes of like Logan Webb and with Framber Valdez or whatever, right? And Tanner Bybee, those kind of guys. But I do recognize that Rodon can be very maddening. And I also believe that Rodon is a better version of himself than we saw last year as a whole.
Agreed on
so I'm going to keep him where he is for now. With Luis Castillo and Aaron Nola, though, I do think there is more danger in them dropping as the season goes on. These are, I pair them together because they are these vets who we've always just every year, it's just like, yeah, this is who they are and everything like that. But they are showing all the signs of, hey, I'm getting worse and the ceiling is not as high as it used to be, which means that we're just holding on to the plateau and hoping that the plateau exists and still continues out longer, right? So I don't like that Nola is throwing near 2 ticks down in velocity, even though he had a good changeup and has had a good changeup for 2 starts against lefties. I don't like the fact that Luis Castillo's fastball is not as destructive as it used to be. And he doesn't have the old changeup still. And it's kind of weird where he throws his sinkers and he doesn't have the greatest command. I'm very aware of these things. And actually, I think I put in the notes for Nola, maybe it was Castillo, saying, hey, I think I might lower these guys in the future. But as of now, this point in the season, when we don't have the clarity of those who are ascending the list quite yet,
yes,
they're staying where they are. So I imagine we're going to have a lot of guys that we leapfrog over Castillo and Nola, and they will kind of be that, hey, almost that Holly gate of saying, you're not going to drop Castillo and Nola in all likelihood, and they're going to get you a strikeout an inning or so. And whoever we like more is like, that's the guy, those are the guys you have to be better than to really start getting our attention.
Yeah. And just to be clear about the Rodon thing, when I said he needs to get punched in the mouth to like figure it out, it's like that 3rd inning was a walk to the 8 hitter, a walk to the 9 hitter, a poorly located pitch to Ibanez that he hit out for a 3-run shot. And then he kind of like settles in a little bit. It's that thing where you feel like every time you just say with Rodon, like, hey, we've identified this thing you're doing works really well, and let's see if we can carry that over into the next few starts. There always seems to be like that, I don't know how to drive stick shift, but I'm driving stick shift at the beginning of the game, and it's like fits and starts, and then it kind of is smooth. Like the Arizona game the last time out was the same thing. Like the beginning of that start was terrible, and then he kind of settled in. It's just that settling in process of like what version of him you're getting that day is frustrating. I agree with your ranking, and I feel that he's similar. Like you're talking about somebody who's ranked in the 30s. You're not dropping him. You're not trading him. You're not like saying he's awful on your roster. It's just like there are stretches where you watch him where it's like, this is a top 20 pitcher. And there are stretches where you watch him where you're like, why can't you get out of your own way?
Absolutely. And with the rest of this tier too, like Kodai Senga's looking like he has a good wide arsenal. Drew Rasmussen's looking great. I mean, the cutter and four-seamer are just so good, and he's going to get stretched out to 6 innings in due time. Christopher Sanchez is throwing harder and also had a much better slider in his last start, and we're feeling good about that one too. And Christopher Sanchez could easily be one of the first to go over Castillo and Nola. Same with Rasmussen. Sonny Gray sweeper and velocity are good now, and Hunter Brown is up to 98. Like, all right, fine. Zach Gallen just struck out 13 Yankees, even though I'm still like really terrified of his four-seamer. I mean, that's fine. And Bailey Ober, I know I dropped you down to 40, but like, all right, you got really sick in one start. And then the other one, you only went 4 innings in over 80 pitches because that was like really your first start of the year. And I'm not ready to move him out of this tier. I just recognize that all those other guys, like everyone in this tier from Senga, Rasmussen, Sanchez, Gray, Brown, Gallen are looking like their best selves at the moment. So I need to acknowledge that they are better at the moment than Bailey Ober. And that's all that is. Nothing more to it.
Yeah. The Sonny Gray thing still worries me with the flexor tendon injection and all that, but I can't argue the results of the last start. Tier 6 is going to start with the cover boy for this particular edition of the list. We will get to that after this break. So tier number 6 starts at number 41, Nathan Eovaldi. Number 42, Seth Lugo. Number 43, Shane Baz. Number 44, Gavin Williams. 45, Chris Bubich. 46, Dustin May. 47, Nick Lodolo. 48, Max Meyer. 49, Reese Olson. 50, Jordan Hicks. 51, Nick Pavetta. 52, Jeffrey Springs. What's the tier called, and why is it called that?
This is called Broadway. Because it's just like all those films. I'm going to make it in New York. This is it. This is my year. And these are the guys we all give the spotlight to, and many of them we could just be like, who are you? What? And we completely forget about this. But these are going to be a lot of the guys that can be huge Broadway stars for your season.
What made Eovaldi such a Broadway star that he required
curveball, baby? Oh my gosh, he has a curveball that's cooking. That's so good. He's been like a four-seamer cutter splitter guy with like a rare curveball. Like, yeah, whatever, fine. No, this has been a whiff pitch for 2 starts now, and yeah, that's really cool. That's really all that is with Eovaldi. Like, if you can do that, I mean, now I feel like I just underrated Eovaldi the entire preseason. I was always like, I think I like Eovaldi. This should be really good, but no, I should have just been drafting Eovaldi. What's wrong with me?
It's nice to see him adapt. He used to be a guy that you were like, he goes as his fastball goes. And now that's not necessarily the case so much. I see a huge number next to Shane Baz, up 16 spots.
I know. It's wild, right? Except we hadn't seen Baz yet when I did this list last week. And what do I see? Sure. Velocity up and the curveball being as great as ever. We also saw changeups in there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This was so good. It's like one of those cases of just like, all right, we think we know what we're going to see if they've prepared all of spring and all of this. And finally, when they actually are given that pearl and step on the mound, we often see something different. And that's what we saw there. Now, I'm not saying that Shane Baz is suddenly that forever, because of course, the first start of the year, we haven't seen him actually have a full, long, healthy season.
Right.
But I remember my rankings back in October. I had Baz pretty favorably because I was thinking, yeah, this is a really good curveball that he has, a good enough fastball. And like, maybe that slider comes back over time. And after all of the turmoil of the offseason, this guy, that guy, I don't know this. Oh man, George Steinbrenner Field, blah, blah, blah. It's the same place now.
Right.
Like he's just picking up where he left off. And it's pretty cool to see it from Shane Baz.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, like, we wanted to see the slider, but it's not like he doesn't have a good breaking ball.
Oh yeah. The curve is such a stabilizer.
It would be great. It would be great to see the slider, just like it would be great to see Gavin Williams' cutter, which he didn't throw again in his second start. I'm bummed, man. I'm still in for anybody that's like worried or concerned. I'm still in because the fastball changes are real. The velocity is up. The vertical movement on the pitch is back. The shape of the fastball looks better than we saw last year. The slider, which I guess they've now reclassified to a sweeper, is much better than it was last year. He spent a lot of time working on that. Again, said it was impacted by his mechanics last year. I think that like fastball, slider, curveball version of Gavin Williams is still a solid pitcher. I just really want that cutter, and I'm hopeful we eventually get it, but I'm not panicking right now.
We've been duped.
We've been a little duped.
We've been duped, Eric. And what's funny too about the whole Gavin Williams thing is like I've been in on Gavin Williams because to say, hey, look, there is a cutter there. This is really good extension. Give him a healthy year and he'll make the adjustments he needs to do. Everything's fine. Spring happens and he's getting these, what was it, like 27 whiffs on his four games or something like that. And everyone goes, oh man, Gavin Williams. And I say, but wait, that's what we already expected. That's the same guy. Where's the other stuff? It's always so strange when those moments happen where other people are now kind of getting onto our level while we're actually running away from it almost. But I didn't. I was like, all right, I'm going to hope that cutter sticks around. And it hasn't. But as you mentioned, the slider / sweeper, by the way, don't get thrown off by that. Savant just decided to call his slider a sweeper.
He calls something different. Yeah.
And I went, hold on a second. I checked the horizontal break in the movement. It's the same movement. Like,
yes.
Stop doing this to us, Savant. It's crazy. Alex Fast, get it together. So it could work. It should work, right? Still good. I mean, at least give me a sinker. Just something that takes advantage of this extension that you have. Right. So hopefully one of those two, the curveball or the sweeper, I guess, are strike pitches. And that would, okay, fine. So, I mean, the potential of this, the foundation is stronger with Gavin Williams than others, and that's why he's still here. It could keep coming down if I'm just not seeing anything there.
Yeah. It is funny that everybody in that rotation talked about having different fastball variations and that being a big thing, adding sinkers, adding cutters, adding whatever. And it's like Gavin Williams, we got one, and just give me that other one. Give me that other one. I'd love to see it.
It's unreal.
Bubic, last time we talked about, when the breakers are on, when the secondaries are on, it's a much better experience with him. The fastball really was dominant in the first outing. The breakers were much better in the second one. The changeup carved up the Orioles, and you see what he's capable of when he's getting strikes with the secondaries, in addition to this improved four-seam fastball. You still have Jordan Hicks up 18. Now, part of that was that he pitched, I believe, Monday night last week. So his ranking, he has 2 starts since the first list came out.
Correct.
But the velocity is still up.
97 plus in both of them.
And
even in the second one, the sweeper got
being located for strikes.
Yeah. So that's great. We love to see that. I understand last year Hicks came out firing 98, I believe, or maybe like 97 plus. Then it settled down around like 96 over time. And that could very well be the case here. Remember, this is where the cliff is. This is where, okay, you might move on from some of these guys and you should feel okay, all right with that. But Hicks looks to me like a very good Holly type, especially for the Giants with a good defense behind him. He really just does need to get that secondary solidified. That is a sweeper for the most part, and then splitters against lefties. Against the Astros, they have a right-handed heavy lineup, so you didn't really see the splitter the first time for Hicks. And then we had it over the weekend and against Seattle, and Hicks didn't really turn to the splitter as much. It was more sweepers against the lefties, and I'm like, no, man, you gotta throw the splitter against them because the sweeper shouldn't really be the solution. But overall, Jordan Hicks, like the way he was spotting those 98-mile-per-hour fastballs too against the Astros, oh my gosh, that was so fun.
Yeah, I'm still in, and I think people, again, don't be worried about 2 months from now when you're looking at waiver wire pitchers. Like, worry about the guy who's doing it now.
Exactly.
Reese Olson, velocity down a little bit from what we saw in spring, which is a little bit of a bummer because that helps. The velocity will help the four seam, but you're still getting solid results out of him. Tier number 7 starts with number 53, Jesus Luzardo, 54, Roki Sasaki, 55, Tyler Megill, 56, Spencer Arrighetti, 57, Grant Holmes, 58, Landon Roupp, 59, Mackenzie Gore, 60, Taj Bradley, 61, Yusei Kikuchi, 62, Clay Holmes, 63, Bowden Francis, 64, Jackson Jobe. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is called the birthday bar because you got invited to a party. And you're like, oh man, this should be really cool. Like, I think a lot of these people that I know are going to be there. Right. And it's like that beginning, that first moment when you step in and you go, all right, do I recognize anyone here? Is this like, am I in the right place? Because this could actually be, that fun night. Like, oh man, all right, this is working out. Tyler Megill, you're looking so good. Oh my gosh. Or it could just be, oh no, oh man, gosh, I have an early morning tomorrow. I gotta get out of here.
Yeah. Tyler Megill, another person abandoning the cutter. He said, no thanks. Don't want it.
It's okay.
But he did lean into the sinker more. He has reshaped the slider, a little more depth on that slider.
It's not just reshaped. That's the pitch he's needed.
Yeah.
Like all we cared about with the slider and the cutter is just find me something that you can actually locate down and be at a decent velocity. And like, that's it. It's so cool. Tyler Megill. Oh my gosh. 4 seamers upstairs, 2 sinkers over the plate as well. It's like these 2 starts with Tyler Megill have been the guy we've been waiting for. So the only question is like, all right, are you still going to be him?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you should get him on Wednesday against the Marlins, right?
Right.
So you shouldn't run into stuff for a while. We'll see a lot of. I was at that game on Friday. A lot of weak contact, labored a little bit. Like I know Carlos Mendoza talks about how he keeps preaching for Tyler Megill to attack, and there were sometimes where he couldn't get the punch out, but he got the weak contact or he got the fly out or whatever it was. And then just kind of command left him a little bit towards the end of the start. Just couldn't make those precise pitches, which again, we've seen from him in the past, right? That command tends to come and go. It is a little bit of a bugaboo. Your number 57, Grant Holmes. I mean, I said this in a tweet the other day with like the rainouts and the scheduling shift, like going from opening the year against the Padres and Marlins to getting the Dodgers and Phillies is like the biggest dupe ever. Like it's such a bummer to people like me that have rostered Grant Holmes in some leagues early on where you're like, I don't want to use him against the Dodgers. I don't want to use him against the Phillies.
What I say a ton, right? Is you try to avoid the guys that you don't get a start out of for 10 days. And we've gone longer than that. Yeah. Right. And it's just, it's so frustrating. We, everything that we saw said otherwise. And of course, the postponement is just bad luck as well. And so it goes. We got it. I mean, I felt weird lowering Grant Holmes, but we just haven't seen it. And the fact that we haven't seen it, and I've seen other things, just there's less haze with others. And that's just the case of the matter. But I do think that Grant Holmes should be in tier 6 moving forward.
Yeah. And there's potential buying opportunities if the Phillies start doesn't go well and he's on wires. So keep an eye on that. Is Mackenzie Gore doing it to us again? I mean, it's only been 2 starts. But
I mean, it's a better slider. And that's really the thing that made me actually it's a new slider. That made me encouraged in the first one. But he was so much worse against right-handers. He only throws that slider against lefties. Actually throws it still like 60% of the time against lefties, which is hilarious. And it wasn't as good against lefties, but he threw everything else against righties, and like nothing was supporting that fastball. And that fastball wasn't well spotted, and it's just, oh, cool, right? You still have these problems. Exactly why I ranked you initially outside of the top 60. So I apologize for the aggressive ranking last week. It's a case where you think that, look, the first start's the hardest one to judge because you don't know if it's actually what we're going to see moving forward or not. We don't have any other history that year to really base it off of, and you had to take a chance to see if it would stick. It's not necessarily, but who knows? Maybe that's just one start there too, and all of a sudden Mackenzie Gore has his curveball and changeup and cutter working really well against righties moving forward. We'll see.
Clay Holmes, it's funny. Obviously, James Schiano, who I mentioned I do the Q&A with, is a huge Mets fan, Mets content person. Somebody asked him, what does he think? Is he freaking out about Clay Holmes? And James, I thought, put it really well, where he said, if you had like that Men in Black wand that zapped your memory And so you forgot spring training. And we just went from Clay Holmes signs with the Mets. They're going to make him a starter. And then you saw his first 2 starts. You'd go, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense to me. Like really low ERA, 10 strikeouts in 9 1/3 innings, but 6 walks. The command has been a little bit of a problem, all of that, but like flashes something that's intriguing, but it's not all there. But instead, we got spring training where everybody was like, oh my God, this guy could be like legit. This is like Michael King, but 2025. And then you get the first 2 starts and people are now freaking out. It's like,
You know what's really funny? You know what's really funny, Eric? Michael King was also really bad in
he
April.
was for the first couple starts. Yeah.
But this isn't that. I
No.
don't see Clay Holmes as Michael King.
No.
Only because the Adobe Clay Holmes doesn't have the same command that Michael King does. And that's what got me really excited about King last year. And with Holmes, I just see an inefficient pitcher. Even with the sinker that does get high strike rates sometimes, it's not a grouping. It's not like Jose Soriano's sinker. It's not like Reese Olson's sinker. It's all over the place. And then you have all of his secondaries, which is interesting. And honestly, if you do the zap thing from Men in Black, I would be really happy because I would see a large volume of secondaries that we didn't know if we were going to see or not. So that's a benefit in that way. But yeah, Holmes has things to figure out. I think that he will over time. I think that as you become a reliever to a starter, one of the bigger aspects of it is how do you utilize your full arsenal effectively?
Mm-hmm.
How do you make those adjustments? As a reliever, you're just like, well, okay, I don't have this. I just got to go to this. I don't have time to make any adjustments now. But during the course of a game, it's like, cool, I need to throw this pitch at this moment to see if I have this. Okay, I just threw this. Maybe I adjusted that to get the release point back here. There are all these little minor tweaks that you're making. And those are what separate rookies from veterans as a starter. It's why we say things like, well, all right, I don't like Zach Gallen, but he's been here before and he'll, figure that out. Eno was saying that last year about Gallen, and I actually understand that. He said that about Valdez, and he had that second half, right? And I totally get it. So I think with Holmes over time, he'll get those cues and figure this out. But right now, he doesn't look like a quality start guy. It's just not efficient enough. And over time, you think he'll be there.
Yeah, don't panic. Hopefully, you didn't draft him as like your SP3 in a final week draft at the end of spring training or whatever. But interesting, on Tuesday night, he faces the Marlins. It's going to be 30 degrees here on Tuesday night in New York. With the amount of movement Clay Holmes gets on his pitches, if he can just keep the ball in the strike zone, that should be a lot of soft contact on a cold night like that. And then this tier ends with Jackson Jobe, who you have down 22 spots. I'm for redraft leagues, like I'm so meh, shoulder shrug on Jackson Jobe. I would trade him if somebody is really intrigued by him. I see the raw stuff. He has not gotten swings and misses since he was in like high A at the level we want him to. And it could happen at any point in time, but it's just not happening right now.
Yeah. Jackson Jobe is someone that I want to go into a little bit, and we will after this break. Give me 2 seconds. I have a package. Stall with the people live, Eric.
Hey, people live. No, Ted. Luzardo is at the top of this tier. He was 53. Nick put him 53. And yeah, then you got Taj Bradley and Kikuchi. Jackson Jobe down 22 spots. We'll see about the Cy Young is so difficult. You have to be like, the best of the best. I think we've seen 2 good starts from Luzardo against 2 good teams, but we've never really seen him post an ERA under 3. He's always had home run issues. Like, it's kind of like last year when people said Ranger Suarez was a top 15 pitcher, and then he kind of reverted back to who he was. Like, I think Luzardo could have a really good year, and that's still like a 3.20 ERA. It's not necessarily a Cy Young.
Yeah, we've seen Luzardo do the whole back and forth pendulum so much. Drives me up the wall.
I'll let you jump in since you did the,
Oh, yeah, cool. So Jackson Jobe, I'm with you, Eric, about, it's not there now, and I'm totally fine just moving on. I'm not going to hold on too tightly. And if I have guys in tier 6 that I like, that are on the wire, I think it actually is pretty good to swap them. The thing is, I do love that Jackson Jobe is a guy with an arsenal that isn't optimized yet. And we haven't seen him blow up. Like, he's still getting through these games.
Yeah.
And I have to think every single start, there's going to be a little extra tweak. There's going to be more curveballs in this one. There's going to be a better mix of sinkers and four-seamers, right? So I love that idea. And if I can hold on to this, I think I will. But right, I think the expectations need to be lowered a little bit, at least in the short term, for Jackson Jobe.
Yeah, yes. I know that people just have such high hopes for top tier prospects. And again, saying somebody doesn't have it right now doesn't mean they won't have it. It just means maybe it's not in a redraft league. It's not worth waiting for. Who knows? We waited a long time for the guy who starts tier number 8. It's number 65, Brandon Pfaadt. Number 66, Jose Soriano. 67, Chris Bassett. 68, Nick Martinez. 69, Brady Singer. 70, Matthew Boyd. 71, Richard Fitz. 72, Michael Waka. 73, Merrill Kelly. 74, Zach Eflin. 75, David Peterson. And 76, Justin Verlander. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This is, I had it before and I don't want to do another reference of the same kind. So this is going to be the school bell. Because you know what? It can be a grind. It can be a bit of a day. And you're just like, all right, I have to do this. I have to go through all these classes, get this work done. There is fun in there. Don't worry. Like, it's not like school is the worst thing in the world. You know, there's some good stuff about it. But you hear that bell and you're like, this isn't excitement. I'm not feeling excitement at the moment. However, as you mentioned, 65, Brandon Pfaadt.
You're feeling more excitement than you have in a long time.
I am not, people know this, at least they should, that I am so ready to be in on guys. I want them to give me reasons to be in on them. And Brandon Pfaadt for ages did not. He was just throwing a sweeper and then four-seamer sinker. And even the four-seamer sinker maybe had a little bit of hint of intrigue against righties. But the problem has always been lefties. And guess what Brandon Pfaadt did? The first game was 3 for 9 curveball whiffs. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe there's something to that. Not only did Pfaadt continue to do that with his curve, I believe it was like 5 for 16 whiffs or so, but he also threw tons of changeups, and they were well spotted down and away to lefties as well. And all of a sudden you go, wait a second, that's enough. That's good enough for lefties. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need Brandon Pfaadt to be like the greatest pitcher against lefties. I just need him to not be terrible against them.
Right.
And curveballs and changeups, and the way that he just threw them, I know it's 6 innings, 4 runs. Oh no, haha. Guys, that's fine. A 6 inning 4 run game is not like a death sentence. It just shows like, okay, cool, things didn't go your way necessarily, but it could easily have been like 200 runs or so. And curveballs and changeups are there against lefties. Now, great. Now go take down right-handers. He actually threw fewer sweepers than both changeups and curveballs just because he saw a lot of left-handed batters, which is, oh man, that is exciting. I love that from Brandon Pfaadt. So this is the most excited I've been for him. I'm so curious to see if this sticks and to see if the sweeper can still dominate right-handers along the way. And all of a sudden you have a package that actually works.
Yeah, we always said it was about lefties. I'm intrigued as well. We always said it was about command with Jose Soriano, filling up the strike zone early. The sinker, again, another outing with like a 62% strike rate on the sinker. That's been really big for him to get ahead because, as I wrote about in the preseason, like, he uses a curveball to lefties and righties. He has a slider for righties. He has a splitter for lefties. Like, he has these pitches that last year posted above average swinging strike rates that he can use to hitters of both handedness, but he could never get into counts to use them because he couldn't get ahead with any fastball. And so is it perfect right now? No, it's not perfect right now. I mean, he gave up 5 runs, I think, to the Guardians, even though he struck out 9. But like, you're starting to see, okay, like, this is what we want to see. If I can get ahead and get into 2-strike counts, I have multiple pitches that I can use in 2-strike counts.
I believe Jose Ramirez had 2 home runs against Soriano in that game. Yeah. And he threw no curves against righties. It was just sliders. And those got
which is interesting because he used them to both. He had a above average swinging strike rates on the curve to both lefties and righties. Right. But again, if he can bust out the curve but doesn't need to because the slider is more impactful now, like, I don't, a little bit of column A, column B doesn't matter to me.
Right. Don't bring Alex Colomé into this, but you have 7 over 14 slider whiffs against righties from Jose Soriano. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, hold on a second. That's a different guy to me. So I'm excited about that one. That's why I have him at 66. And then Chris Bassett goes up 9 because he just struck out 9 batters. And this looks like 2023 Chris Bassett, not 24. I'm not ready to just say, well, no, all of last season was just super terrible and he's going to be terrible. Like, no, this is the well-versed Chris Bassett that we've liked to see. So I enjoy that. And lastly, inside this tier, it's really Richard Fitz. Just like we have only seen 1 start from him. I'm kind of tired waiting for more data on this. And we're at a point where that showcased a Toby, not an exciting Max Meyer kind of type. So it could change next week if we get all of a sudden a different look of a fastball than we had before. But as of right now, I think Matthew Boyd's just a better play. I think he's a stable 3.7, 115, 117 whip with a 23 to 25% strike rate. That's kind of cool. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Boyd looks like I'm digging in a little bit. It looks like he modified the changeup a little bit, took 2.5 miles an hour off of it. I believe, according to Kyle Bland's chart, it looks like it has impacted some of the movement on the changeup. And it was pretty good for him in the last start. Obviously, as a lefty against righties, a good changeup is super important. So I love that about Boyd. And then also in this tier, Brady Singer, whose cutter he couldn't locate in the second start. We've talked a lot about new pitches and how sometimes like the second year a pitcher has a new pitch is when we really see the impact. It wouldn't surprise me if the cutter for Brady Singer is inconsistent early on, considering that it is a new pitch. David Peterson, in case you didn't hear the news, was nauseous yesterday. That was why he labored through his final inning and then got taken out of the game. It was not an injury. So David Peterson should be good to go against the Athletics this weekend. Or I think it's maybe a Friday start. He was looking fine, pretty good, before he kind of labored in that last inning, as I guess he was struggling with the nausea. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just throwing it away. I'm just saying, all right,
yeah, whatever. I would too. I mean, nausea doesn't normally, like, we've all been sick. I'm sure he was battling it a little bit earlier in the game as well. He probably was under the weather, whatever.
Yeah, so it goes.
Tier number 9 starts number 77, Andrew Abbott, number 78, Eduardo Rodriguez, 79, Kevin Gossman, 80, Hayden Wesneski, 81, Justin Robleski, who is confirmed will start on Tuesday, number 82, Casey Mize, 83, Tanner Houck, 84, Ronel Blanco, and 85, Kumar Rocker. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
This one, I mean, it's called New Beginnings, of course. And it is, oh man, this is the end of a relationship. So the whole idea of this is that because something that you went through was bad, it might actually open up to something good. And this is your dart throw tier. You're only going to turn to these if you have something that has messed up, that you're like, oh no, this other guy that I had, I have an open spot all of a sudden because something else that you had on your team wasn't working out. So this is the tier of like, all right, I need some dart throws for something else that might be excited for me after everyone else is taken. So that is the breakup text tier.
The breakup text tier. I'm ready to issue that breakup text to Kevin Gossman.
Oh, okay.
I had ranked him.
Your wife's lovely.
I had ranked him in like the 60s at the beginning of the offseason. And then it was like, oh, he's adding a cutter. He had the sinker last year. And I was like, okay, I think I moved him up into like the mid 40s, take the pressure off the fastball, whatever. The cutter never showed up. Like he just never really threw it. The splitter is not missing any bats. He started against Tyler Megill in that game I was at on Friday. There was just no whiffs. There was just no whiffs.
2 over 34 on the splitter. Oh gosh, Gosman, that is no, man. We can't do this game again.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay if you wanted to move on a little bit. It has not been good.
No, and I mean, the real thing here, I do want to mention. I'm seeing actually on Reddit every single week. I post the list on Reddit, and I think the biggest surprise I'm getting is not really the Andrew Abbott one, which I think is actually maybe too aggressive that I have at 77. He's coming back. We don't know what it's going to be. It's kind of like, all right, well, whatever. Here's something exciting, kind of. but I don't. I mean, it's against Pittsburgh, so you might want to start that. But no, the biggest thing that everyone is just, or at least the highest vote, and someone says they don't understand it, is Casey Mize dropping to 82. And this is before I did not see today's start. I did not have any influence on it at the time of writing this and ranking it. It was just starting. And by the way, I accidentally benched Carlos Rodon in that league, and I guess I did a good job. I don't know if I did, but looking at the data now, right now, okay, let's say I make these rankings again after watching it or actually getting that data. And this is just from data scoping, which isn't actually me watching it. Keep that in mind, a little bit different. But the big concern I had last week from Casey Mize was that this was a guy at 95, really 96 on the four-seamer throughout the spring. And we were saying, okay, cool. There are two big improvements here from Casey Mize that we hope for. One, that he's going to be at 96, not 95, and spying that fastball upstairs. And he has hopefully a better secondary, a breaking ball that he can really complement with the splitter, because it can't just be four-seamer splitter. And what we saw in the first start was 94 on the four-seamer, and he did not have a good game. He didn't really have a good secondary, and it was really deflating to me. It'd be like, oh man, why would I be chasing this? This is literally the same thing that we went through last year with Casey Mize. Now, looking at the data now, what I see are two things. One, good four-seamer location with the four-seamer and the splitter, and also utilizing a curveball more often. So maybe there's something to that. But I see 94.2 on the fastball, and I see a 52% strike rate on the curve. And I'll be honest, as I mentioned with Rodon, yeah, this was disgusting of a game. This was so cold. Flurries were there. I remember watching some stuff at the corner of my eye of like some of these outs happening on terrible flipped breaking balls in there. This isn't different to me from what I saw last week. And I kind of still stand by the ranking that I have, because this, again, should be thrown away. This game, I don't know if you are at 95, 96 yet, because that weather, I don't know, man. The breaking stuff, I can't say that he is now a 52% curveball strike guy, because, yeah, that was probably so hard to throw to the best of your ability in this game today. So I think it's pretty easy to say that Casey Mize is very similar to what we saw last year as far as what we know right now. And I don't want that. I don't think that that's someone that I really want to chase.
Yeah, I get that. Hayden Wesneski intrigues a lot of people. I wonder if he's the Emerson Hancock two-step that goes awry this week in matchups that are fine but not great. But Hayden Wesneski, has always intrigued. The Justin Robleski thing is interesting because I just read 5 minutes ago, Fabian Ardaya, who covers the Dodgers, said that Blake Snell met with Dr. Neil El Atrash today because he is, just to be clear, Dr. Neil El Atrash is on the trip to the White House, and they still think it's a short stint on the IL, but Dave Roberts said, I think everything is in play right now, including an injection. So if that were to be the case and Blake Snell were to get an injection in his shoulder to deal with inflammation, that's not a one start IL trip. That becomes a longer IL trip. And then it's Justin Robleski, it's Landon Knack. Like, we have to figure out how the Dodgers are filling that rotation.
Tony returning.
Robleski is going to start Tuesday.
Maybe, but then there's the weightlifting thing that happened to him. What I just want to mention quickly about Snell is you hear the word Neil. He's meeting with Neil. The next word is a trash, right? Whatever his name is, just like, oh, well, that's not good. And also, Blake Snell always does this to us, and I can't stop this, guys. I just the number of conversations I have every year about like my ranking of Blake Snell is just, I don't like this. I don't like that he's hurt again. I don't like that it's the fourth year in a row that April and May are weird for Blake Snell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it also means he'll probably come back in July and be the greatest pitcher. It just does this he does this every year. And it's just so funny to me that it's Snell. And I'm going to have the same arguments with everybody, discussions in October, November about like, Nick, why do you have Blake Snell at 30? Because I don't want to deal with it. I just don't. I hope it's an amazing season and it looks stupid. But Eric, I mean, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's tough. I get it. And hopefully it is just a short stint, just because you don't want to see anybody get hurt. But
well, of
whatever.
course, I want him. I want Blake Snell to make my life easy.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
like, I want every pitcher to be dope. I just laugh at it. You know, it's oh gosh, that's all. But yeah, you make a really good point that like, okay, wait, hold on a second. The Dodgers, the team with like 20 million starters, right? Okay, Bobby Miller's in AAA. How's he doing? He's doing terribly. All right, you have Roupp and you have Knack.
I tweeted
ahead.
yesterday morning after the Blake Snell news. Bobby Miller went 4 2/3 scoreless in his first AAA start. It wasn't like efficient, but he went 4 2/3 scoreless. And then like 2 hours later, he completed his second AAA start. And I think he gave up 3 runs and walked 6 in 5 innings. And you're like, okay, well, that's not an option anymore.
It's not. And with the other guys, Roupp, right? What is his thing? You know, Samulski, you should probably know everything about him. No, sorry.
That's my tier. The Wesneski, Robelski,
yeah, oh my gosh,
tier
you guys
is where we
go
go.
into some lodges upstate, you know, where for some snow, you want to go some skiing. Anyway, you have Roupp, who is a low extension guy. It's always so weird to me that his fastball has success, but he's able to do it. He had a good spring, like a really good spring as well. And I think you're going to get the most length out of that. Then Landon Knack to me is not an interesting starter. It's a fastball slider combo. He had these rare like 5-6 inning performances, but a lot of them like 4 innings last year for the Dodgers. It's not a whole lot. Mm-hmm. And you might be able to get some streams in there if they're facing weak opponents. They'll try to get as much as they can. But to me, the biggest thing about this is all your concerns about Dustin May, just throw them away. Just throw them away. The Dodgers need Dustin May. Okay?
Throw the concerns
away. And they're going
to
let him get as many innings as possible.
That's a new shirt for you. Throw the concerns away with Dustin May. On to tier number 10. Number 86, Knicks boy, Mitch Keller. Number 87, Eric Fetty. Number 88, Luis Severino. 89, Jose Barrios. 90, Andrew Heaney. 91, Martin Perez. 92, Jameson Taillon. 93, Jack Conowitz. What's this tier called? Why is it called that?
It's called the lecture. It's the first word out of that father's mouth that you just, oh my God, it's going to droll you to sleep. It's just the beginning of just, oh no, sit down, son. Oh gosh. That's what this is. Because this is the boring Toby tier. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. I mean, Eric Fede, hey, we can trust him against the Pirates because he doesn't throw 4-seamers anymore. All right. Mitch Keller, I just, you know me, Mitch Keller, guys. I don't want to do this. You shouldn't want to do this either.
Yeah. Heaney, we've seen Heaney do. I know he just had a great outing last night. It's like we've seen Heaney do this before where he goes on stretches where you're happy to put him on your roster and then after a month it dissipates. Martin Perez is the same dude. I know he's pitching well for the White Sox right now. The White Sox 9th inning yesterday is the perfect kind of downside for Martin Perez. Like that was a locked in win. That should have been a win. And they pitched a win away from him. So there are a lot of things connected to that. Jack Kahanowitz, again, I know the comment in the chat about main events. That's a 15-team league. It's a very different situation. The rankings here are for 12-team leagues. In a league where you're deeper formats or you need quality starts, you know, Jack Kahanowitz is more valuable in a quality start league. He's going to go deep into games. He doesn't tend to give up a ton of runs. You know, it might not matter to you if he only strikes out 3. And again, if you're getting a quality start, then it doesn't matter if you're getting wins. So it all depends on how you're building your roster. A lot of these guys, like, you have no problem with them, but you know, a guy like Kahanowitz who throws strikes and is going to go deep into games and give you a good whip and not give you lots of strikeouts is totally fine. If you have a lot of aces on your team who give you tons of strikeouts, then you're balancing it out. So it's all build and it's all league types.
Yeah. With Kahanowitz too, I just want to say I can't call him the jack of one trade anymore because he has 4-seamers and sinkers, sliders too, on top of that sinker. And maybe those get better. Maybe those actually, you know, having the 4-seamer surprise and pairing it with a sinker works really well. We've seen that from other guys, even if it's a bad 4-seamer in a vacuum, but it's not because you have the sinker establishing itself. So having those worked into the sinker approach can work out really well. So pay attention to that. And I'm actually really curious to see how that continues with Kahanowitz.
And then final tier 11, number 94, Shane Smith, number 95, Zach Littell, number 96, Mitchell Parker, number 97, Ben Lively, number 98, Will Warren, number 99, Matthew Liberatore, and number 100, the new Milwaukee Brewer, Quinn Priester. What's this tier called and why is it called that?
This is called the your latest TV show because you're going to stream it and you might not go past the first episode. You know? I mean, this is what it is. It's just like, all right, it's just one time, like, okay, let's just put this on for tonight, and then you might not touch it again.
But none of these is going to be, Severance or Adolescence or anything that's like, whoa, this is the best one ever.
No, that's. I mean, maybe it's Shane Smith.
Maybe
it's Quinn Priester. Probably not.
Quinn Priester. We should just say, the news came out today. He was traded to Milwaukee. Milwaukee has not. They made a 40-man roster spot for him. They haven't said what their plans are. They have many, many openings in the rotation. It makes sense. Quinn Priester, who almost won a rotation spot in Boston out of spring, will join the rotation in Milwaukee. We don't have set confirmation at this point, but it seems likely. Boston added 2 pitches to the arsenal for him. So he has 6 pitches right now. And this gives me a lot of like Tobias Myers vibes of like, Tobias Myers was DFA'd by 4 teams. He was a guy who threw a lot of pitches, wasn't overly exciting, but was a young pitcher, and they were able to kind of take what he had in his arsenal and maximize how he utilized it and say, okay, maybe you don't get tons of strikeouts, but you're going to get you're going to pound the zone with all of your pitches. You're going to get weak contact. And it wouldn't surprise me if in like deeper formats, Quinn Priester becomes relevant this year.
Yeah.
With Milwaukee in the way that they maximize pitchers who do what he does.
Yeah. I mean, that's why I put him at 100. It's just like, all right, let's just see what happens. And I'm not saying that he's better than the guys who are on the honorable mentions. Some other ones that I considered or at least took off this week from like AJSS and Sean Burke and Tyler Malley, which you might be contentious about. But like, hey, just keep going with Tyler Malley. What's going on? It's like, look, like those guys are not the ones, at least in my view, that are going to really be game changers in some way. And maybe there's actually something here with Quinn Priester where it just is a better environment or the Brewers changed this little tweak. We've known that Priester has been a highly regarded prospect for a while. We've seen moments where the slider and curve are really good. And maybe this clicks into here. So you just want to see what happens there.
Yeah. Slider. And then the new cutter should help him with lefties. What the goal of that was, multiple secondaries. So we'll see how it all shakes out, but it's not somebody you should be running out to add in your shallower formats. That's going to do it for us. We're going to go run out and I am going to go run and make some dinner. We got some baseball to watch tonight. I'll be at the Mets game Wednesday afternoon trying to talk to some pitchers. Nice. We'll see who I can saddle up to who will tell me they're going to throw a pitch that they don't throw. So that'll be fun. I am Eric Samulski, the Pelican.
I'm Nick Pollack, the Lion.
And we'll catch you on the next episode of On the Corner.